Hello! Today we're going to be talking about rowing, as you can see, because I'm sitting on a rower. It'd be weird if we were doing bicep curls today and I was sitting on a rower. It wouldn't quite make sense. Anyway, what we're going to talk about mainly is our form and how to use our form and how to row to be able to get some more bang for your buck when you're doing it. But first, I want to go through everything on the rower so we understand the mechanisms, things we're doing, and why we row. Rowing is one of those really good forms of cardio, especially for people who may be slightly more overweight, because it's not as load bearing. So where running on a treadmill or outside might cause you to put a bit more impact in your knees over and over again with some more weight to you, that's going to damage them and can cause a bit more of an issue. Where rowing, all of our weight goes into the seat, we're not actually putting our body weight into it, it's all about how much force we can have, so it's a bit better. It's similar to like swimming. Swimming is better for you if you've got more weight for your joints. Rowing is that same kind of thing. There's not as much pressure on your knees and ankles. When it comes to rowing, there's a couple of things we need to think about. Firstly, it's more about the setup. So when we set up, we've got our beautiful footbeds. That's what these are called. I didn't know they were called footbeds until Will gave them a Google and he told me, and I was like, a footbed? That sounds like meant to be falling asleep and having a nice cozy time. We're here to work. And they have little holes that you can then change what height or length your shoe is. So if you've got a bigger foot, you'd want it in a 6. If you have a very tiny foot, you want it in a 1. I put it in a 3 because I've got a medium to small foot. So if this is our foot, we want the strap to come across almost like the knuckles of our feet. We want our toes to be free, but that we're pulling and putting tension in just before our toes start. That means we can put enough pressure in to be able to pull us back. Also pull across to keep nice and tight, and to get out, you put your thumbs on the black bits and push them out to the side. Feet come forwards, heel, heel. Lots of people like getting trapped in these bits down here. I can't get out! Now, what the rower does with the dampener, which is on the side, which is the flywheel, so where the fan goes around and makes the woo noise, almost a bit more like a kazoo, it has a 1 to 10 dampener. If it's on 1, it gets rid of all of the air that can go into the fan. And when you slowly turn it up to 10, it's that you're making them a little bit more spacious, so that you can get air through the fan into it, and it adds more resistance. It's almost more like putting more water into the rower, because if you didn't realize, rowing is meant to replicate rowing on water. What a surprise. If you have a higher number on the dampener, so if we're closer to like an 8, 9 or 10, there's more water that you're pulling against, where if you were on a 1, you're just rowing in air and not actually pulling, which is good for practicing movement, sure, but we want to add a little bit of resistance. But the last thing to set up is also our hands. Now, as you can see, this lovely row handle, we can decide whether we want to be super, super close, medium, wide. You know, you've got an incremental range between what you want to do with the handle, and it kind of depends more so on your shoulders. If you're quite narrow, you might want to hold a bit closer, because then it will feel natural when you end up rowing it to your sides, that your elbows will be flush to your body and you'll feel nice and strong. If you're really, really wide, this might feel a little bit too tucked in and difficult to get your arms out. So for me, I don't really like grabbing that close. I prefer grabbing a bit medium. If we're really broad, so we've got quite wide shoulders, or if it's difficult for us to get our arms around our body, we'd want to have as wide a grip as we can. The reason we want our hands in a nice solid position is so that when we bring it to our chest, our elbows can be kind of tucked in, but not all the way close, just in a nice strong position that you can squeeze all of your back muscles together. We don't want it to be too wide that you're not able to use your lower back muscles. We also don't want it too close that you're not using any of them at all and you're only using your bicep. You want to be kind of in between. That's our way of setting up. We've got our feet, we've got our nice seat position, nice and comfy, we've got our good hands, and we've chosen whatever resistance we want. Now we're going to talk about the little screen. What I want you to do when you get on is press menu and go on just row, and you can change the unit and display, which you can see in the photo. There's 2 buttons called change units and change display. I only ever put it on the thing where you can see 4 kind of squares, 4 bits of information. Those 4 bits of information are, starting from the top and working our way down. Our top one is the time that we've been working. Our second one is the time it will take to do 500 meters, or our pace. So that's our pace for how fast we're going to do our 500 meters. And also we have the distance that we've already reached in meters. And also at the bottom, in the bottom left, you've got the number, which I think our one says 30. Can't remember, we took a photo a minute ago, so I can't remember. But we did strokes per minute. That's the S-M. Strokes per minute is how many reps, how many pulls are you doing per minute? Just those 4 bits of information. You can also do fun things of like you're chasing a rowboat pacer and you're trying to see how much force you put in. Don't worry about that for this one. Now what I want to move on to is, because we know our setup and we're on our beautiful perfect screen that we've just set up with our 4 bits of information that we need, we're going to talk about technique. The first thing I want to talk about is the order of which body parts we're using. I'm going to break them up into these kind of 3 segments. We've got what our back is doing, whether it's rounded or it's arched in this position. What our legs are doing, whether they're straight or bent, whether we're extended or flexed. And also what our arms are doing, whether they're flexed or extended, whether we're pulling or straightening out our arms. Now, I do see people do this order wrong. So, first off, we grab our handles. Again, mine's about shoulder width for me. We're nice and as fetal position, probably is an interesting way to put it. We're in a situation where we've got a lot of potential to be able to put a lot of force in. So I want us to first off do this. Now that was slow motion. It looks a little bit more like this. What I'm doing here, I'm going to go a little bit slower and also try and make it a little bit quieter for you as I do this. As I start my pull from here, I'm straightening out with my back, so I'm getting tension. I'm then straightening my legs, and that's where my driving force is, and then I'm pulling my arms so that my handle ends up by my chest. I then straighten my arms, bend at my legs, and reach with my back. We do those things in reverse. So again, we do bring our back, legs, arms, arms, legs, back, back, legs, arms, arms, legs, back. The reason we do this order is because of this. Let's say I didn't bring my back backwards first and I just straightened my legs. This is not a good position to row in. This is going to compromise your back and hurt your knees. It's a very good hamstring stretch. That felt painful. We're getting tension by straightening our back, then pushing with our legs, big strong power, finish with arms. The arms are like an extra at the end. It's not an arm exercise, this is a leg exercise. So again, on top of this, one way you think about is the return. So we already know to go back, legs, arms, then arms, legs, back. For efficiency, we want this cable, we want it to stay in a perfect line. If it stays in a perfect line, so it's always level, instead of doing this, right? You're making weird, really wibbly wobbly lines. If it stays in a perfect line, it's from point A to point B, instead of A to C to B to D to A to... That's too many distances. Now, if we do our back, legs, arms, and then try and go faster and start returning with our legs, this is what I see a lot. I return, I see hands, and then I see arms coming back, which means you've done a bit of a question mark. Let me do that again. Your hands have to move around your legs and come back. It might only be small, might look like this. But you're still doing a back, legs, arms, arms, legs, back. So one thing I see that's really commonly wrong is doing this. What I'm doing there is I'm doing 37 strokes per minute. Every once in a while it's going up to 40 something. And I'm only going at a 2:24 pace. What you should be doing is this. I was then doing half the amount of pulls, but because I'm using more strength in my legs, I was actually going a minute 50. I'm gonna get 500 meters done in a minute 50 while someone else is gonna take an extra 30 seconds to do it. Doing less pulls and being able to get somewhere faster is the equivalent of if we were running and someone was running like this. Really tiny steps, but lots of them. Or someone's got big, nice strides where they're actually running long, using their power, having time to breathe, focusing on their recovery. If I'm rowing at this pace, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I don't have enough time to be able to breathe and focus and recover. I'm going, that's my pace with breathing. I'm gonna get knackered. I'm gonna wipe myself out way before I even finish any distance or time that I want to achieve. Where if I'm going 1 with a heave, 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, deep breath, 1, let's recover. I could comfortably talk to you like this for a long while, and I'm still going faster than I'm going faster, let's pull harder. Think about the word heave as you do it. You want to be a Viking on a Viking ship. Think of it that way. Though I know they also used wind. If you've liked this video, subscribe. Then you get to watch more videos like this. We release them every Friday. If you also want to follow us on any social media, we do post other things. And if you have any feedback, drop it in the comments, give us a message, let us know what you want to see. Thank you very much. Have good rowing and take over the world like the Vikings. Thanks, guys.